Good, happy Tuesday morning, September 21st, 2021. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Tuesday morning edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Tuesday morning, so let's get started right now. First up, some New Hampshire hospitals lack number of staffed beds for patients. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Shh! Jackpot alert! Okay, we'll get a ticket. How did you get in here?
Hampshire reaching over 115,000 COVID-19 cases since the start of the pandemic. Over the weekend, the average of new cases has dropped from 457 to 401, but 17 more people were hospitalized, bringing the total to 139. It comes at a time when at least 2 hospitals in New Hampshire are running out of beds. Solution Health tells News 9 Southern New Hampshire Medical Center has a number of patients waiting for beds and that Elliott Hospital is feeling a similar crunch. This means there are more patients than available staffed beds, not total hospital capacity. Meanwhile, vaccinations are at a crawl. The latest update shows 309 people were added to the list of first dose recipients, and 279 more people are now considered fully vaccinated. Dave Carey of Bedford recently tested positive for COVID-19, but credits the Moderna vaccine he received last spring for keeping him out of the hospital.
If I wasn't vaccinated, I probably would have been inpatient at best.
He says he tested positive for COVID-19 last week after attending a meeting without a mask. He says he had all the COVID-19 symptoms, but not for as long as others who've gotten sick before they were vaccinated.
I had everything but in much shorter bursts and got through it like it seems considerably faster.
David says friends have passed away due to COVID-19, and he shudders at what could have been. He believes the vaccine is helping him return to normal, while he remembers those who are gone and those he can still help.
I'm so grateful that I made that move, and if I can help one other person to join me in that, then I would be thrilled to do so.
And of course, Dave wants everyone to get the vaccine. He also reminds you to wear a mask indoors when you're not around people from inside your own household. Live in Manchester, Jessica Moran, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New Hampshire doctors welcome news that Pfizer seeking vaccine authorization for younger children. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Shh! Jackpot alert! Okay, we'll get a ticket. How did you get in here?
I was very excited to see that we're one step closer.
A Bedford parent of a 9 and 11-year-old see the Pfizer vaccine as another tool to protect them.
We do a lot of activities. We do a lot of sports. We go on vacation. They're in school. They're in their classrooms. And they're in their classrooms with probably about 50% unmasked students.
Parents have very strong feelings on both sides, but most in the medical community are on the same page.
It's a very logical next step, and I'm tremendously excited about it.
Comparing the Pfizer trial to other childhood vaccines.
This is a very traditional way of approaching it.
Children 5 through 11 would get 2 shots, a third of the dose of those 12 and over.
The data suggests that the 10 microgram dose is sufficient in terms of eliciting protection, but also is safe.
They say benefits far outweigh concerns.
Children who are immunocompromised would have would now be able to return to their normal life in terms of education, sports, extracurricular activities.
Ultimate control of COVID-19 may very well depend on our ability or success in getting children immunized.
Now, Moderna is also studying the effects of its trial on younger school-aged children. The FDA, meantime, could review the Pfizer trial and issue an emergency use authorization in a matter of weeks. For Live in Portsmouth, Jennifer Crompton, WMUR News Now.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Where superintendent administrators cover for staff members after COVID-19 clusters. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Jackpot alert. Okay, we'll get a ticket. How did you get in here?
The letter from Dr. Jacqueline Coe cites 2 different COVID clusters at Center Woods School in Ware, where at least 10 people were COVID positive while in the building last week. Quote, very few people in the Ware School District are wearing masks in the building, even though many individuals have been notified that they are confirmed close contacts. Based on our plan and mandates from the Department of Education, we have no intention to shift to remote learning, end quote. Bedford School District is just emerging from a COVID outbreak at Memorial Elementary School.
We had what was considered an outbreak at Memorial, so we masked up for 14 days.
Officials say targeted masking is a mitigation strategy that is working. Soon, asymptomatic testing will be available in Bedford schools, starting with staff members.
Once we do that, we'll open it up to other groups. So sports teams may want to do this, grade levels, classrooms.
Superintendent Fournier says federal funding will cover the expense, and students will need parental consent, and acknowledges that COVID fatigue is setting in, especially surrounding what he calls mask wars.
And that's the thing that's really distracting from educating kids, is constantly having to talk about masks when you really want to be talking about reading, writing, and math.
Superintendent Fournier says when a student tests positive, they ask the family if that student has been vaccinated. And he says most, but not all of the cases in the district are in unvaccinated students. Live in Studio 80, Covino, WMUR News.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. COVID-19 cases drop in New Hampshire as one more Granite Stater dies. Hospitalizations rise. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Jackpot alert. Okay, we'll get a ticket. How did you get in here?
Monica, that's right. The latest numbers show us the average of new cases has dropped, but hospitalizations continue to go up. The 7-day average for confirmed cases fell from 457 to 401, but the total number of cases in the state from the beginning of the pandemic is now up over 115,000, and 17 more people were hospitalized over the weekend, bringing that total to 139 right now.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Former FBI agent details investigation into the death of Gabby Pareto. Let's take a listen to that video from WPBF 25 News, Florida.
Now, that former FBI agent's name is Stuart Kaplan. He refers to the FBI as the best of the best. But he also admits they're getting a lot of help from people who have no training at all in law enforcement, but are very adept at using social media. Now that the FBI is more actively involved in the Gabby Petito case, Stuart Kaplan says the first step for FBI agents will be confirming that there actually is a case.
As obvious as we believe it is, we need to make sure that she did not die of natural causes.
Kaplan used to be an FBI agent. He says once an autopsy confirms the body found in Wyoming is Gabby Petito and she was murdered, the next step is figuring out exactly when it happened.
With a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, they're going to be able to identify when or how long Gabby was dead.
The when is important for multiple reasons. One is to see if text messages from Gabby actually were from Gabby. Her mother believes some of them were written by another person, perhaps after Gabby was killed. Investigators will also use time and date of death to see who was in the area when it happened, like Gabby's fiance, Brian Laundrie, a person of interest in the case. Kaplan says that's why police got a search warrant to go through an external hard drive found in the white van Gabby and Brian were traveling in.
The external hard drive probably, again, is going to be additional digital footprints of being able to potentially put him in the same location as to where the body was found.
Finally, investigators have a fairly new tool: social media. Extreme interest there has led to multiple tips, even a video showing investigators where Gabby and Brian's van had been. That eventually led to finding a body.
If you thought about this case happening even 10, 15, 20 years ago, we wouldn't be having this discussion. This would probably potentially end up as a cold case.
And talking about that list of things that Kaplan says needs to be done, well, the first of those is going to come tomorrow. We're talking about the autopsy. You mentioned that it should be completed tomorrow on what they believe is the body of Gabby Petito. Reporting live, Ari Height, WPBF 25 News.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for joining us for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Goodbye.